At the beginning of 2026, someone like you wakes up one quiet morning. There is no dramatic moment, no loud decision, just a deep feeling of tiredness. Life is not falling apart, but it feels heavy. Days look the same. Work, messages, noise, sleep, repeat. You move through your routine, doing what needs to be done. But something feels unclear inside. You are not broken. You are simply tired of carrying the same weight every day. This person does not feel inspired. There is no strong motivation. Instead, there is awareness. A small, honest thought appears. Something needs to change. Not everything, not all at once, just something. This is how real change begins. Not with excitement, but with noticing. The year 2026 arrives quietly. It does not promise miracles. It does not guarantee success, happiness, or easy answers. 2026 is not a promise. It is a direction you can choose. Step by step, without rushing. You may think you need a perfect plan. You do not. You may think you must change your whole life. You do not. You do not need to be ready. You only need to begin. This story is not about becoming someone new. It is not about fixing everything or proving anything to anyone. It is about becoming a little stronger, a little calmer, a little more aware. One small step, one quiet decision, one day at a time. And this is where your own story slowly, gently, and finally begins now. The voice appears quietly. It does not shout. It does not sound angry. It speaks in a familiar tone, almost gentle, like it has lived inside the mind for years. You are not ready. You always fail. You should wait. The character hears this voice while brushing their teeth in the morning. They hear it while working, while checking messages, while trying to focus on simple tasks. They hear it again at night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling in the dark. It feels normal, and that is the problem. Because the voice has spoken for so long. It feels like the truth. It does not feel like an opinion. It does not feel like a thought that can be questioned. It feels like a fact. Nothing bad is happening in those moments. There is no danger, no crisis, no clear reason to feel afraid. But the voice still finds a way in. When an opportunity appears, the voice whispers doubt. When a new idea forms, the voice asks, "Who do you think you are?" When a mistake happens, the voice grows stronger and louder, replaying the moment again and again. Slowly, quietly, it shapes behavior. It decides when the character stays silent instead of speaking. It decides when they stop trying before they even begin. The way you talk to yourself matters more than you think. Every sentence you repeat becomes a habit. Every habit becomes a belief. And beliefs decide what you try, what you avoid, and what you accept as normal in your life. If you tell yourself every day that you are weak, you stop trying. If you tell yourself that change is impossible, you stop moving, not because you truly cannot change, but because you no longer believe you can. One day, the character notices something important. The voice is not a fact. It is not truth. It is just a pattern. A learned response from the past. A habit formed through repetition, fear, and old experiences. Instead of fighting the voice, the character pauses. They do not argue with it. They do not attack it. They do not force positive thinking or pretend everything is fine. They simply listen, and then they change one sentence. Just one. From, "I can't do this," to, "I'm learning how to do this." The difference feels small, but the effect is powerful. "I can't" closes the door completely. "I'm learning" keeps it open. Learning allows time. Learning allows mistakes. Learning allows progress without pressure. The problems do not disappear. Life is still busy. Deadlines remain. Challenges still exist. But the response changes. A better mindset does not make life easy. It makes life manageable. It turns failure into feedback. It turns fear into information. The character begins to think long-term. Not about tomorrow. Not about this week. But about who they are becoming over time. Small actions start to matter more. Reading a few pages. Practicing for 10 minutes. Trying again after a mistake instead of quitting. With a long-term mindset, small steps feel meaningful. They are no longer useless or too small. They are investments in the future self. The voice inside does not disappear. It still speaks sometimes, but it loses control, because now there is another voice. A calmer one, a kinder one, a voice that says, "You are learning," and that changes everything. The alarm rings 10 minutes earlier than usual. Not much earlier, just enough to feel different. The character opens their eyes and stays still for a moment. There is no movement toward the phone. No messages to read. No rush to begin the day. There is only silence. A glass of water held slowly in the hand. A deep breath in. A slow breath out. These 10 minutes feel small. Almost too simple to matter. Almost easy to skip and forget. But they matter. Big change is not loud. It does not arrive with strong emotion or sudden energy. It does not announce itself or demand attention. It grows quietly, through repetition, through small actions done again and again, even on ordinary days that feel unimportant. Habits shape days. Days shape weeks. Weeks slowly shape a life. Often without you noticing it happening. Most people wait for motivation. They wait to feel ready, excited, or inspired. They believe change should feel powerful at the beginning. They believe it should feel clear and strong. But motivation is unstable. It comes and goes without warning. Some mornings it feels strong and easy. Many mornings it is gone before the day even begins. Habits do not ask how you feel. They do not wait for confidence. They do not need excitement. They simply happen when they are protected and repeated. In the morning, habits set direction. They decide how the mind enters the day. When the day begins with noise and urgency, the mind learns to rush. It stays tense. It reacts instead of choosing. When the day begins with calm and intention, the mind becomes steadier. It feels grounded instead of pulled in many directions. 10 quiet minutes change the tone of everything that follows. The character feels slightly more present in conversations. Slightly more aware of thoughts and reactions. Slightly more in control of attention. Not perfect, just better. Evening habits matter just as much as morning ones. At the end of the day, the body is tired, the mind is full, thoughts overlap, emotions linger longer than expected. This is when recovery begins. The character starts ending the day more gently. Lights become softer. The phone is put away earlier. The pace of everything slows down. Before sleep, they reflect instead of judging. They ask simple questions, without pressure. What went well today? What can be better tomorrow? There is no anger in these questions. No blame. No punishment. Only awareness. Reflection replaces judgment. Judgment creates stress and resistance. Reflection creates learning and clarity. Many people make big plans. They write long lists. They set high goals. They promise themselves change again and again. But plans without habits fade quickly. They disappear when life becomes busy or difficult. One small habit done daily is stronger than many big plans never followed. Reading for 10 minutes. Walking for 15. Writing one sentence. Preparing tomorrow in 5 quiet minutes. These actions seem too small to matter. Too simple to create real change. But done daily, they change direction. The character stops trying to change everything at once. They stop chasing dramatic transformation. They choose one habit. They protect it. They repeat it. Even on hard days. Some days feel easy. Energy is high and time feels open. Some days feel heavy. Everything feels slower and harder. The habit stays. This is how life begins to shift. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Quietly. Slowly. One small habit at a time. The character feels stuck. Not trapped. Not desperate, just quietly stuck in the same place for too long. Work feels repetitive. The days pass, one after another, without real progress. There is effort every day, but little movement forward. Energy is spent. Time is used. Yet nothing seems to change in a meaningful way. At first, the mind searches for big answers. Learn everything. Change everything. Do more. Push harder. But this only creates pressure and confusion. Too many options appear at once. Too many paths seem possible. Nothing feels clear enough to start. Then something changes. Instead of looking for many skills, The character chooses one. Just one useful skill. Not perfect. Not impressive. Just practical. Something that can be used right away. Something that fits into real life. Not an ideal version of life. They decide to practice for 15 minutes a day. Not 1 hour. Not a long, complex study plan. Just 15 minutes. Protected. Consistent. At first, the progress feels slow. Almost invisible. There is no excitement. No clear result to show anyone. But after a few days, something unexpected happens. Confidence appears. Quietly. Skills build confidence because they create proof. Proof that effort leads somewhere. Proof that learning is possible. Even in small steps, confidence creates movement. When you feel capable, you act more. You speak up instead of staying silent. You try again instead of avoiding discomfort. You stop running from small challenges. Luck is unstable. It comes and goes without warning. It cannot be controlled or planned. But skills stay. Once learned, they remain available, ready to be used again and again. Whenever needed, the character begins practicing speaking more clearly. Choosing simple words. Slowing down instead of rushing. Making eye contact while speaking. They notice conversations begin to change. People listen more carefully. Misunderstandings decrease. Communication feels easier and calmer. Another day, they practice basic digital tools. Simple actions. Sending clearer emails. Organizing files. Using tools instead of fighting them. Work feels lighter. Time is saved. Stress decreases without effort. They also begin managing time better. Not perfectly, but with more awareness. They plan the day in short blocks. They finish small tasks instead of carrying them all day in the mind. Mental space opens up. These skills are not impressive. They do not look exciting from the outside. But they are useful. And usefulness creates confidence faster than perfection ever could. Many people watch videos. They read articles. They collect information. But watching is not learning. Learning happens when you try. When your hands move. When your voice speaks. When you take action and make mistakes. At first, mistakes feel uncomfortable. They bring embarrassment. They slow you down. But the character begins to see mistakes differently. Mistakes are not failure. They are proof of learning. Every mistake shows effort. Every mistake reveals what to improve next. Without mistakes, growth does not happen. The character stops waiting to feel ready. They practice while feeling unsure. They practice while feeling tired. 15 minutes a day becomes a rhythm. A habit. A quiet promise kept daily. Over time, one door opens, then another. Not because of luck, but because skill creates options. The character is no longer stuck. They are moving. Slowly. Confidently. One useful skill. Practiced daily. Changing direction without noise. The character feels tired again. Not the kind of tired that disappears after one good night of sleep. This tiredness feels deeper, slower, heavier, like it has been building quietly over a long time. For many months, they blamed themselves for it. They believed being tired meant being lazy. They thought it meant they were weak, undisciplined, or falling behind others. So they pushed harder. They ignored the signals from their body. They tried to force progress through effort alone. But something changes. Instead of pushing harder, they start listening. They begin going to sleep at a regular time. Not perfectly, not early every night, just consistent enough for the body to recognize a rhythm. The body responds quietly. There is no sudden burst of energy. No dramatic improvement. But mornings feel slightly less heavy. Waking up feels a little less painful than before. Food becomes simpler. Not a strict diet. Not rules and pressure. Just regular meals. More water. Less rushing between tasks. Eating becomes support instead of control. The character stops forcing hard exercise. No extreme plans. No punishment for missed days. They walk instead. Slow steps. Fresh air. Movement without pain or pressure. The body begins to feel safer. The body is not a machine. It cannot run forever without rest. It does not improve under constant pressure. The mind is the same. It needs space to grow. It needs quiet to recover. Energy is the foundation of discipline. Without energy, habits feel heavy. Without energy, motivation disappears quickly. When energy returns, even slowly, effort feels lighter. Small actions no longer feel impossible. Simple habits stop feeling like punishment. The character learns something important. Rest is not weakness. Rest is maintenance. Quiet moments are productive. They allow the nervous system to calm down. They allow thoughts to settle instead of racing. They create room for clarity and choice. The character begins taking short breaks without guilt. They breathe deeply during the day. They allow silence to exist without filling it with noise. They also notice another habit quietly draining their energy. Comparison. Looking at others creates pressure. Others seem faster, stronger, more successful. Comparison creates exhaustion. It turns progress into disappointment. It makes effort feel pointless, no matter how real it is. The character steps back. They stop measuring their pace against others. They stop using someone else's timeline as a standard. They focus on their own rhythm, their own path. When comparison fades, something unexpected happens. Peace appears. The body begins to trust again. The mind becomes clearer. Decisions feel easier to make. Small habits feel possible instead of overwhelming. The character understands this truth deeply now. When your body feels safe, your mind becomes clearer, and change feels possible. Not dramatic change, not overnight success, but steady movement forward. The character no longer treats rest as a reward for hard work. They treat it as a requirement. Sleep becomes protection. Food becomes fuel. Movement becomes care. The mind follows the body's lead. Calmer, more patient. There are still tired days. There are still moments of stress and pressure. But now, the character responds differently, with listening instead of pushing. This habit does not make life easy. It makes life sustainable. And sustainability is what allows change to last. The character notices something important one quiet afternoon. Even with better habits and more awareness, some days still feel heavy. Focus disappears quickly. Energy fades without a clear reason. They stop and look around. The room is not terrible, but it feels crowded. Old papers stacked without purpose. Unfinished tasks sitting in sight. Objects with no meaning, still taking space. Nothing is loud, yet the mind feels busy. So the character cleans one small area. Not the whole room, not everything at once, just a desk, just one surface. As the space becomes clearer, the mind follows. Breathing feels easier. Thinking slows down. The body relaxes without being told. Mess creates noise, even when it is silent. It speaks to the mind. It reminds you of unfinished things. It pulls attention in many directions at the same time. Simplicity does the opposite. It creates focus. The character realizes something deeper. Environment influences behavior more than willpower. Willpower is limited. It gets tired. It weakens under stress. It disappears when energy is low. Environment works quietly, all the time. It shapes behavior without asking. Next, the character looks at their phone. Notifications appear constantly. Messages, updates, reminders that interrupt thought before it can finish. They turn off the unnecessary ones. Not everything, just what does not matter. Silence returns. Not empty silence, but calm. The digital space changes how the day feels. Less urgency, less pressure, more control. The character understands that environment has layers. The first is physical space. Rooms, desks, objects you see every day. A clean, simple space supports clear thinking. It does not demand attention. It allows rest. The second is digital space. Screens, apps, information that enters the mind without asking. Too much digital noise creates mental fatigue. Reducing it restores focus and patience. The third is social and mental space. The voices you listen to. The words you hear repeatedly. The character notices the tone of conversations around them. Some voices are always negative. Always complaining. Always warning. These voices shape thoughts over time. They teach fear. They normalize stress. So the character chooses calmer voices. Not fake positivity. Not pressure to be happy. Just grounded, Supportive words. Books that teach instead of frighten. Conversations that encourage instead of drain. The mind becomes quieter. Thoughts slow down. Attention feels steadier. The character learns a powerful lesson. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your environment. No matter how strong your plans are, your environment decides what feels easy and what feels hard. If your space encourages distraction, you will be distracted. If your space supports focus, focus becomes natural. The character does not change everything at once. They change one small thing at a time. One corner of the room. One setting on the phone. One source of information. Behavior begins to follow. Good habits feel less forced. Bad habits lose strength. The environment becomes an ally instead of an obstacle. This habit feels invisible, but its impact is strong. Because it works even when motivation is low. Even when energy is limited. The character understands something important now. Change does not always require more effort. Sometimes it requires better surroundings. Change the space, and behavior follows. Quietly, naturally, without resistance. The character waits. They tell themselves they will start soon. After one more busy week. After feeling more confident. After life becomes calmer and easier to manage. They wait for the perfect time. It never comes. Life stays noisy. Problems continue. Responsibilities do not slow down. Doubt does not disappear on its own. One day, the character understands something clearly. If they keep waiting, nothing will change. So they act anyway. Not with confidence, not with excitement, but with decision. Action comes first. Clarity comes later. At the beginning, everything feels uncertain. Is this the right habit? Is this the right direction? Is this effort worth it? Thinking cannot answer these questions. Only action can. Each small step provides feedback. Each attempt shows what works and what does not. Mistakes reveal information. Success reveals direction. Action creates clarity. The character stops trying to do everything perfectly. They stop waiting to feel ready. They focus on doing something consistently. Consistency beats intensity. Doing a little every day is stronger than doing a lot once in a while. Some days, energy is high. Progress feels easy. Focus feels natural. Other days, everything feels heavy. Motivation disappears. The mind looks for excuses. On those days, the character lowers the bar. They do not quit. They do less. 5 minutes instead of 30. One small task instead of many. Progress is not fast, but it is real. To stay consistent, the character begins tracking quietly. No big systems. No complicated plans. Just small checklists. Simple notes. A box checked at the end of the day. A sentence written in a notebook. These records are not for pressure. They are not for comparison. They are for proof. Proof that something was done. Proof that effort happened. Proof that movement exists. Even on hard days, quiet pride grows. Not loud, not shared, just a calm sense of, I showed up today. Patience becomes part of the habit. The character stops expecting quick results. They stop asking for proof too soon. They start respecting time. Change is slow by nature. Anything that lasts takes time. Some days are hard. Focus breaks. Plans fail. Schedules collapse. Doing a little still counts. Reading one page still counts. Walking for 5 minutes still counts. Trying again still counts. The character learns the key truth. Stopping is the only real failure. Missing one day is not failure. Feeling tired is not failure. Doubt is not failure. Quitting is. So the character keeps going. Not perfectly, but consistently. They forgive missed days. They return without punishment. They begin again without shame. Over time, something shifts. Habits feel more natural. Resistance becomes smaller. Decisions feel lighter. The character is no longer waiting to begin. They are already in motion. Confidence grows as a result. Not a requirement. This habit does not change life in a dramatic moment. It does not announce itself. It changes direction quietly, step by step, day by day. The character understands now. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel confident. You only need to act. And keep acting. That is how change becomes real. The year 2026 arrives like any other year. Quietly, without asking who you were before. It does not change your life by itself. It does not fix your problems. It does not remove fear or doubt. Your small daily choices do. The choices you make when no one is watching. The habits you repeat when motivation is low. The way you speak to yourself in quiet moments. When there is no pressure to perform. Those are the things that shape your direction. You may still feel unsure at times. You may still feel tired on some days. That does not mean you are failing. Change was never meant to be loud or fast. It was meant to be steady. It was meant to grow quietly. Beneath the surface. Before anyone could see it. You do not need to become someone else. You do not need a new personality or a new life. You do not need to erase who you are. You only need to stay with the process. The process of small steps. The process of learning. The process of returning after difficult days instead of giving up. Some days you will move forward easily. Energy will feel natural. Focus will come without effort. Some days you will move slowly. Everything will feel heavier. Both are part of the same path. Do not rush yourself. Do not compare your pace to anyone else's. Just keep listening. Keep learning. Keep taking one small step. That step may look simple. It may feel too small to matter. But repeated daily, it becomes powerful. Over time, you will notice changes. Not all at once. Not in dramatic ways. But in how you think. How you respond. How you choose. One day, you will look back and realize you are no longer where you started. And you will understand something important. This was never about perfection. It was always about direction. This is not the end of the story. There is no finish line here. This is the quiet beginning.